Right now, across America, millions of Gen X parents are lying awake at night, not because something went wrong, because something didn't go the way they imagined. Their child is 30 years old, still at home. The door that was supposed to close never did. And the question that keeps appearing, quietly, persistently, at 2 in the morning, is not about rent. It is not about timelines. It is this: did I do something wrong? Psychologists have a name for what you are feeling, and it is not failure. My name is David, and if that question has followed you into the night, what I am about to share might be the permission you didn't know you needed. Do you remember the day you first imagined it? Not out loud, just quietly, somewhere in the back of your mind. One day the backpacks would disappear from the hallway. One day the shoes by the door would be gone. One day the house would belong to you again. That future felt inevitable, because for every generation before you, it arrived almost automatically. Children grew up. Children left. That was the sequence. But for millions of Gen X parents right now, that sequence never completed. The room stayed occupied. The extra plate stayed on the dinner table. The car remained in the driveway. And what began as a temporary arrangement slowly became 1 year, then 2, then 5. Here is what nobody tells you about that. The practical situation, the rent, the groceries, the shared space, that part you can manage. What becomes harder to manage is what it does to an expectation you have carried your entire adult life. The expectation that adulthood, their adulthood, would eventually look the way yours did. And when reality doesn't match that expectation, the mind doesn't just notice. It starts asking questions, quietly, persistently, the kind that follow you from room to room. Do you remember your first apartment? Maybe the carpet was ugly. Maybe the furniture didn't match. Maybe you spent weeks eating whatever was cheapest. But it was yours, your own key, your own space, your own life. And even when things were difficult, there was something underneath the difficulty: pride. Because independence wasn't just practical, it was psychological. It meant you were becoming yourself. But here's what that memory doesn't account for. The world your child inherited is not the world you entered. In 1985, the average American home cost 2.5 times the average annual salary. Today, it costs more than 5 times. In 1990, a college degree cost roughly $3,000 a year. Today, that number has increased by over 1,200%. The timeline of adulthood has shifted, not because your child is weak, not because something went wrong inside them, but because the rules changed while nobody was looking. And yet, even knowing all of this, something inside you still asks, if I could do it at 23, why can't they? Not out of judgment, out of bewilderment, because you are not comparing your child to data. You are comparing them to memory, to your own experience of becoming an adult. And that comparison, however unfair, feels completely real. It usually happens late at night. The dishes are done, the television is off, the house is quiet, and your mind begins doing what anxious minds always do. It starts asking questions. What if they're still here 5 years from now? What if they never fully stand on their own? What happens when I'm no longer here to help? Most parents assume this anxiety is about living arrangements, about space, about timelines, about money. But psychologically, it rarely is. The bedroom is simply the symbol. The real anxiety lives somewhere much deeper, because what you are actually worried about is not where your child sleeps. It is whether they'll be okay, whether they can carry life's weight without you, whether the person you spent decades raising can stand confidently in a world that doesn't slow down for anyone. Psychologists call this anticipatory grief, the anxiety of imagining a future loss. Before it has even happened, parents experience it quietly, usually alone, usually at 2 in the morning, when the house is still and the mind refuses to be. That anxiety is not weakness. It is not overthinking. It is what happens when love has nowhere left to go, except forward into fear. Sometimes it happens while paying bills. Sometimes while driving alone. Sometimes at 2 in the morning, when sleep refuses to come. A thought appears, small but powerful. What if I got something wrong? Not everything, just enough. Enough to make adulthood harder for them. Enough to make independence take longer. Parents rarely say this out loud, but millions carry it quietly. A tendency to review the past, like a detective reviewing old evidence. Should I have been stricter? Should I have pushed harder? Should I have said something different? In that one conversation, 15 years ago, here is what psychology says about that. The human brain is wired to find patterns, to locate cause and effect, to find someone responsible. When something doesn't go as expected, and when no clear answer appears, the brain often turns inward toward the most available explanation, you. But here is what that guilt conveniently forgets. No parent controls the economy. No parent controls the housing market. No parent controls the 1,000 invisible experiences that shape a person over decades. Yet many parents hold themselves responsible for outcomes that were never within their control, because guilt creates the illusion of control. If it was your fault, then maybe it could have been prevented. But life is rarely that simple, and neither is parenting. The guilt you are carrying is not evidence of failure. It is evidence of how deeply you cared. There is a moment many parents never talk about. It doesn't arrive with drama. It doesn't announce itself. It just appears one day, in ordinary silence. You open a drawer and find something unexpected. Old school papers, a faded photograph, a small shoe that somehow never got thrown away. And suddenly, without warning, something shifts inside you. Not sadness exactly, not regret, something quieter than both. A recognition that a chapter you were fully immersed in is no longer active. Psychologists call this ambiguous loss. A grief that has no clear moment, no funeral, no announcement, just a slow realization that something important has already changed without asking your permission, because the house still looks the same. The address is the same. Your child is still there, but the purpose of the house has shifted. There are fewer urgent needs, fewer moments where you are absolutely necessary, and that creates a feeling that is genuinely difficult to name. For decades, your identity lived inside a role. Early mornings, school runs, homework at the kitchen table, decisions that couldn't wait, moments where you were needed completely, without question. Now that urgency is fading, and in the silence it leaves behind, a new question appears, not about your child, about you. Who am I when I am no longer needed in the same way? Do you remember the first time your child made a decision without you? Maybe it was something small, a job they accepted before telling you, a relationship you found out about later, a plan that was already made by the time you heard about it, and you told yourself, this is good, this is growth, this is exactly what adulthood looks like. But internally, something else was happening, a subtle discomfort, because independence sounds positive in theory, but emotionally, it creates distance, not physical distance, something harder to name, relational distance, the feeling that someone you have understood completely, your entire life, is slowly becoming someone you must now learn in a completely different way. And that learning process is uncomfortable, because for decades, you spoke the same language. You knew their fears before they said them. You knew their moods from across the room. You knew them completely. But adulthood changes the language of understanding. They no longer report everything. They no longer ask everything. They no longer depend on everything. And so the relationship shifts, not into absence, but into a quieter version of presence. One where connection still exists, but access becomes limited. Psychologists call this individuation, the natural psychological process, where a child separates their identity from their parents. It is healthy. It is necessary. It is exactly what is supposed to happen. And it still feels like a kind of loss, even when nothing has actually been lost. At some point, every parent reaches a moment, not a dramatic moment, not a conversation, just a quiet internal shift, where the question slowly changes from, will they be okay? To, can I trust what I've already given them? And that second question is harder, because it requires something that anxiety never allows. Trust, not blind trust, not naive trust, but the kind of trust that comes from looking honestly at what actually happened over decades. You were there on the ordinary Tuesday mornings, the ones nobody remembers, the ones that didn't feel important, the breakfast made before school, the question answered at the wrong time, the argument that ended with presence, even when words ran out. Those moments didn't disappear. They were absorbed, quietly, completely, into the person your child is becoming. Research in developmental psychology is clear on this. Parental presence during childhood, not perfection, but consistent presence, is the single strongest predictor of adult resilience. You didn't have to be perfect. You had to show up, and you did thousands of times, in ways you've already forgotten. But they have not. So the real question is not whether they will be okay. The real question is, can you trust the thousands of ordinary moments you already gave them? Because love has to believe in its own impact, and what you gave them was already enough. There is a truth about this stage of life that nobody says out loud. So let me say it clearly. The house feeling different is not a sign that something went wrong. It is a sign that something is moving forward. You were never meant to be the center of their world forever. You were meant to be the foundation they eventually stand on without needing to see. Because foundations are not meant to be visible. They are meant to be stable enough that life can continue above them, quietly, independently, confidently. And if your child is still figuring it out, still finding their footing, still taking longer than you expected, look at what that actually means. They came back to the safest place they know. They came back to you, not because you failed them, because you built something strong enough that returning was still possible. That is not failure. That is the whole point. So let me leave you with this. One day, the door will close, the room will empty, the extra plate will come off the table. And on that day, you will not remember the anxiety. You will not remember the questions at 2 a.m. You will remember that you were there every ordinary Tuesday. Every unanswered question you answered anyway. Every moment you stayed when leaving would have been easier. That is what they will carry with them. Not your perfection, your presence. And presence was always enough.